a daughter of God. I'm not an actor. I'm a realist. I'm a realist. I'm not a robot, but I'm a human being. My children, I love them from the bottom of my heart. I'm not crying for Patrick right now. I'm crying for my kids. How are they going to recover from this? How? But I know God will be your father. I know God will always be there. Patrick was a child. He played a lot. But I never called him Patrick. I never called him Brapet. People know him as that. Brapet, Jita, Masakent, Micho, Pedido. But I called him Ndwana. I called him Ndwana. Lately, nakena dinthong, say are baby. And then I would be like, how? Okay. Lately, I would remember Nana, and then he will call me that. How? Okay. I am humbled by the support. I am humbled by the love. I am humbled by, I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to start, Minister. I don't know where to start, South Africa. With all those that loved him and all those that didn't like him, he still remained a human being. Patrick and I, or let me say Ndwana, we were opposites. I always say that. We were like this. My job was to ground him all the time. And I knew his face when he's about to say something naughty, something silly. Before he stands up, I'll hold him and say, Ndwana, hold it. Hold it. And when he gets on stage, he'll say, hey, bang khalemets. But I'll say what I want to say. I want to say, he portrayed all of you guys. He portrayed all of you. All of you are going through what he was going through in different ways. But for some reason, I found all of you judging him. And you need to start judging yourself. Look at your fingers before you do this. How many? This pain is deep, very deep. I want you guys to understand it is deep. For my kids, it is deep. For my grandkids, it is so deep. He loved my kids with all his heart. He was a father first. He was a husband. He was a caretaker. He carried us. We were not perfect, and he was not perfect. Being on TV does not make you perfect. Putting on that makeup does not make you perfect. All the challenges in the world affect every one of us. Challenges don't say who is on TV, who is not. Okay, that one is not on TV. Let me challenge. He faced all those challenges. Minister, there is a problem in the country. I used to be a victim of this man. In our lifetime, I stopped living a life of being a victim, because, you know, when you are a victim, you get the support like this, oh shame, you know, oh shame, you know. And I spoke to myself and my God and my family that we need to fight this. I don't want to be looked at as a victim. I don't want that. He was a perpetrator like all of you men and women who are in this place. If I can say, raise up your hand, who is not or who has never been a perpetrator, would you do that? Raise up your hand. If you have never offended or victimized someone, if you have never said, hi, clapping someone who didn't even want to be touched on her bums, tell me if you didn't do that in your lifetime. Tell me if you didn't abuse your powers wherever you are working. Tell me that. I was never intimidated by these beautiful women who became the wives of my husband. I was never intimidated. Never. The one thing that Patrick was, he laughed so deep. And when he said, I am sorry, he meant it. He meant it. He was very playful. Sometimes when he says sorry, I would say like, obvious, you will say that. But do you mean it? I always had to wake him up and say, you are not Nkusheng in my house. We are not acting here. We are not. My kids are hurting because of the country that my husband loved. But I'm not angry. All I need from South Africa and the rest of the world, if they are, is that my kids need your prayers. Living in that environment where your father is on spotlight all the time. We are not like that. I'm not a spotlight person. When I walked here, I'm like, this is the life that I didn't want. And he knew that. Patrick was passionate. I mean, taking a selfie with him, we needed to act and go like he will tell me, stand like this. Just a mere selfie. Just a mere, all I'm saying is play your part and get out of it. Because fans, when they meet you in the malls, they expect you to behave like Nkusheng. And they carry those characters. They carry those, debrief, guys. I don't want to call my husband Nkusheng. I always reprimand my whole family when they can't even say Molefe or Patrick. I said, you're going to forget who your brother is. And you keep calling me Nkusheng, Pasha, whoever, all these names that he was called. When he started talking about him being a perpetrator, we were all hurt. Trust me. The wounds were open again. My kids suffered. They were angry with me because society also says to Chaba, why are you staying there? Why are you still there? When I wrote the book, a lot of women said, I'm sending a wrong message. Yes, I stayed. But there was no money. It was not about fame. It was because I wanted my kids not to be confused. I wanted them to belong. I wanted them to belong, to know who they are, in spite of who their father was or was all about. I loved him. I got angry with him. I packed my bags so many times, guys. South Africa, I packed. And when he came and pleaded and cried, I said, I hope you're not acting. So step out of the acting part. Once you've debriefed, let's talk. Let's talk. We loved him dearly. We still love him. They call him Ntwana. I mean, that's how he is. Ntwana every time. Ntwana, we want pizza. Ntwana, we want this. He calls his sons Bojita. That's how simple he was. I once said to him, let's move from Dobsonville, like Sandton, because, And then he said, ke tlo tlogela toropong, ka tla mo, ka tlo groove. He was from Meadowlands, I'm from Dobsonville. But he knows batho ba Dobsonville more than I know them. More, like he's made friends with people that I was scared of, people that I was afraid of. They even said, how did you get this girl? Because she used to run. My parents gave him permission to marry me at the age of 17. Our marriage had all seasons of challenges. All seasons. All seasons. But I don't know where the strength was coming, but I know God always gave me strength daily. I would pray and say, God, here's my cup. It's empty, fill it up. And that's the strength that I used this whole week. People were coming and they were expecting me. Like, it was his time, I always told them, this man, Hana's Piri, I never told him about the lives of my friends and all of that, because he will just boom one day. But this likunutu, he kept that likunutu from me, because it was his likunutu le Modimo wa Gae. It was his likunutu. I didn't know Market Theatre. It's because of him. I don't know how to buy groceries, guys. This man would buy me groceries all the time. He will duplicate everything and he buys. This man did all he can with all his faults, with all his, he was laughing all the time. We would have a fight with the family and then they will call us and they would want to say, what happened? And then I'll explain. When it comes to him, he starts crying. And then I'll say, now he's acting again. Because I never took him serious. I still felt that even on Saturday, he would say, Ntwana, nikidlala ka wena. So the reality hit me late in the evening. Because he was always playing and I was always this serious person. And he always like, Maschala, stop being serious. And I said, this house, it go chaos, fell. Chaos. So I kept it together. And I remember telling him, I'm a mother. I have to cover. But no, he was born to be on the spotlight, to display the social ills, Minister. I really believe that everything that he was, some of you are. So deal with your issues. Really start dealing with your issues. Deal with your issues. And let us deal with my children. The country is in pain, not because Patrick has died, but we have this country that's has no forgiveness. Women are dying, Minister. I'm an academic. My study is on intimate partner violence, and he knows that. I went to prisons and interviewed 16 men who killed their wives. 16 men from all 4 correctional centers. I sat there listening to these men justifying their deeds, coming back with findings. I said, Patrick, I am not this activist who will be going to courts with placards. I'm not solving anything. We need to find the roots, the causes of gender-based violence. The causes of gender-based violence. I taught my daughter that don't grow up and say you want to be married to a rich man. Don't. Don't grow up and say, I want him to pay this amount of lobola. Don't. You can do it yourself. You can buy your house. You can buy a car. Go to school. Do the best. Patrick was not educated. He was just naturally intelligent. When I gave him my findings, he was blown away. I was sick that week, Minister, from all the correctional centers. I was sick. And when I listened to these men, I saw myself in all the women that died. I saw myself. And I pray to God and I thank God for saving my life. This, him being an activist, was not an act. And he carried the weight of so. I mean, when people came to our house and crying for help, we saw ourselves. We saw ourselves, how we used to behave, how we used to do things. And it was so easy for us to help these people. Baga Shai, ke a le leboga. Baga Make, baga Ramocha, baga Siakatsie. Let me just, he comes from a very, my husband also from Koga Motswege, Mabaso, Tela, Musi, Morake, Khamedi, Khadebe, Swelankomo. Like, I even said, we don't need people, Kore Khokatlala bus stay 5, and Ronako Khai, we are only 5 siblings. With all the social ills in that family, honestly, all social ills. But they love each other. They support each other. They support each other. Mama Lume and all the Mama Lumes, Borangwani, my brothers, Mrs. Shai. She was also married young. They take young girls, these men. She was a baby, but we kept each other, strong. Same challenges, same issues, same challenges, and we grew from those challenges. We grew from those challenges. So gender-based violence is real. I always look at my boys and say, let us not duplicate. Let us not duplicate. This is a disease. Let us not duplicate. Cry for help. They went through, when I say social ills, all of them, we know them. That's how real these issues are. So let's pray that we have a forgiving heart. Let us pray for our souls, that we are a forgiving country, a forgiving nation. I don't know if you came to my house and you saw that bath in our bedroom. That was our brainstorming area, me and Patrick. He would act all these things. I would talk about gender-based violence issues, and I was always behind him, giving him information, giving him all the facts about it. There are so many perpetrators, and it's sad. It is sad. Let us raise our kids to be proud of who they are and not depending on men or not depending on women. Let us be proud and work. Let us be partners. When you marry someone, be in partnership. Be in partnership. Nobody must depend on anyone. Nobody. If you can buy a house and he can't buy a house and you start complaining, that's not partnership. Do it with love. It was hard for us. It was hard for me, having to really pretend all the time. My colleagues only discovered a few days ago that I'm married to Patrick Shai, because the pressure is just too much for us. It's just too much. Messi Park and all Dobsonville communities, he left all those marks. Start working, continue working. He will be very happy. And I'm sure where he is, he's looking at us and laughing and thinking, because this is what he liked, actually. This is what he loved. He loved pictures. My house is full of his pictures. I have a few. I had to deal with this ego all the time and like, can you just, come to earth? So we love you as a Shai family. We love you with all our faults. We are not perfect and we will never be perfect, but in the eyes of God, we are perfect. What people say, Chava, Sepi, Kopano, shouldn't matter. What people say about your father, about us as a family, shouldn't matter. Don't allow people to shame you. Don't allow people to shame you. Don't. You know yourself. If you say I'm ugly, and I look at myself and I see something else, I won't believe you. Take it like that. Don't be defined by social media and the comments and everything. He made mistakes. He was not perfect. I was not perfect. I was not. But we are not defined by what society thinks or wants. We are going to carry on praying for strength. I'll give you cups to ask for strength daily and give my grandkids the love that Patrick loved them. He took these grandkids as his own. He knew that he had to pay school fees for them and he wasn't working. Patrick didn't care about acting, actually. He was fired so many times. He didn't care. But when it came to this GBV, it is because it's something that was eating him for many years of his life, for many years. That how do I become a role model? How? He was striving for perfection. But at that point, it was time for him to leave. It was. Because we didn't feel, we didn't see anything. It just happened. It was his time on that day. So South Africa, let us forgive, because God forgives us all the time, always. Let us forgive. Let us forgive. Our husbands, bana le bana, let us forgive. Mistakes happen. Mistakes happen. We still love you. We still love you. Your support means a lot to us. I don't know, my kids, if they want to say anything, Chava is 38 this year. Tepi is 31. Remind me, I'm old. My son, Kopano, who is the engine, is 20 how much? 20-something. Khanya and Rorisan and Kwezi. Oma, Ntakhale. He loved you so much. He loved you so much. We were looking at the video where he was dancing with these kids in the house this morning. But I hope we can take this lesson and realize that there are issues in the society. We're dealing with our own demons. We all dealing with those demons. All I can plead with you is a prayer for my kids. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else. And all the perpetrators that are in this house, change begins with you.